Good day, Doctor. Before I start my presentations, I would like to do a short introduction about myself. My name is Lim Yee Ting with matrix number 272006, and I am from Group YYDS. Today, I would like to present about the infographic, which title is Separate Business from the Personal. There are some aspects that I would like to emphasize and do some further explanations about them. In my next presentations, I'm going to explain the meaning of ICAC, the definitions of corruption, the ethical lessons that I have learned from the video, and the preventions which we can implement to prevent corruptions in the workplace. ICAC stands for Independent Commissions Against Corruptions. The ICAC aims to protect the public interest, prevent breaches of public trust, and guide the conduct of public officials. The ICAC works to minimize corruptions and promote the integrity and good repute of public administrations. It provides advice, information, resources, and training to public sector organizations to remedy existing or potential corruption problems and helps organizations to identify and deal with significant corruption risks. After having some knowledge about ICAC, I'm going to explain the definitions of corruptions. Corruptions refers to dishonest behavior by individuals in positions of power, such as managers or government officials. In this slide, I'm going to explain the lessons that I have learned from the video. There are 3 lessons that we can learn from the video. The first lesson is, when corruptions and bribery happen, the wrong reasons are often given for decisions made. People who are lack of morality are more likely to make unethical decisions with wrong reasons. For example, Alex explained his corrupt act by giving reason that he needed a lot of money for his marriage with Kate. To prevent corruptions and bribery, companies should set high standards on corruptions by providing support for people to follow them. The second lesson is, business or work should be separated from the personal. When we found out that there is either our family or friends had involved in corruption issue, we should report their acts. Thus, Jen should not turn a blind eye for Alex when she found that he was involving in corruptions for the reason just because they are friends for quite a long time. The last lesson is, people will lose freedom and human rights when they involve in corruptions. In the end of the video, Alex has been arrested in jail, and this has resulted to the cancellations of his wedding ceremony with Kate. Therefore, we should not involve in corruption since we will lose our freedom and human rights. There are 5 preventions that can be implemented to prevent corruptions in the workplace. The first one is, be familiar with the law and other regulations. Organizations must comprehend and keep up to date with the anti-bribery and anti-corruption ABAC policy and regulatory environment in their own jurisdictions. Organizations must ensure that how they operate are always falls within legal boundaries. The second prevention is identifying and assessing the risk of corruptions. There are 3 stages to identify systemic issues. The first stage is examine the risk posed by the company's operations and the scope of its business with government departments. The second stage is identify and analyze the company's existing policies to reduce its risk and establish where the gaps may be. The third stages, which also the last stage, is produces an effective anti-corruption compliance program to provide the organizations with a reasonable assurance of compliance. The third prevention is ensuring whistleblowers are protected in the workplace. Whistleblower is a person who informs on a person or organizations regarded as engaging in an unlawful or immoral activity in workplace, such as corruptions. From this perspective, we may know that whistleblowers are important to prevent corruptions in the workplace. Thus, whistleblowers in workplace are compulsory to be protected. At the Seoul Summit in November 2010, G20 leaders identified the protections of whistleblowers as one of the high priority areas in their global anti-corruption agenda. After identifying the importance of whistleblowers in the workplace, a G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group, also known as ACWG, was established in 2010. Anti-Corruption Working Group is dedicated to protecting whistleblowers from revengeful and discriminatory actions after reporting unlawful activity in their workplace. In this context, the existing Whistleblower Protections Act and enforcement mechanism are going to be studied before the proposal of the best practices on Whistleblower Protections Act comes up. The fourth prevention is re-evaluating company policy regularly. To prevent corruptions in the workplace, a company should also re-evaluate company policy, such as anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy, which also known as ABAC framework. All companies should have effective system for re-evaluating and updating their ABAC policy framework from time to time. The purpose of the ABAC policy is to outline and explain the prohibitions against the bribery and corruptions in a company's operations. Employees who are bound by anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy are responsible for conducting their company business with honesty and in a professional manner, being compliant with the legal framework. Communicate and train employees is also one of the preventions that can be taken to implement to prevent corruptions in workplace. Internal communications and training have traditionally been the main ways in which companies can convey the anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy to all its employees. For internal communications, a variety range of mediums can be used to communicate the detrimental effects of corruption happens in the workplace, such as websites, intranet, social media, and employee manuals. These platforms can be used to communicate the detrimental effects of corruption to all of the employees. Training is particularly important to employees who may be dealing with high-risk business partners or function in high-risk business markets or high-risk business units. Besides, training is the most effective way to communicate the anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy around an organization. By having effective communications and training, the issues of corruption in the workplace will be mitigated and reduced. This is all about my infographic presentation video. Thank you for watching.